Alright, hey guys, gonna talk about ADTX. I've been sick. I'm still sick, so I might have to mute the mic for coughing and stuff like that. Um, I mostly traded this, and I traded CCCC long, but this is our low floater. I longed it in the pre-market. I noticed, especially in the stronger market, that really there's three longs that have been giving me huge percent moves. I'm talking like 25, 30, sometimes 50, 60% moves. Um, the three categories are like early pre-market before the squeeze, right? So it's really common to have like pops, some type of, say, in a stronger market, maybe a 50% pop, 40% pop. It pulls back and then it does another like 50% squeeze or 30% squeeze or something like that. So like early pre-market when the book is usually the cleanest. Usually we'll go over what happens on the book, but that's category one. Category two is market open, which is usually weak market open, right? So weak market open would be CCCC, right? CCCC gave a big push in a pre-market. It went down only for like an hour straight, and then they threw up a bunch of bids at 1.8 and stuff like that. And then, going into market open, CCC looks weak. Market open volume comes in, goes on a big squeeze, right? And it's still going. And then the third category is more of like your manipulated longs, like longing out of down halts at the top, like some of the more like big brain longs, the very counterintuitive low float type longs, where it's like it gives a very obvious short pattern that shorts are chasing and then shorts get squeezed, right? It's essentially short traps on really strong stocks. But that's the idea of this long. I actually full sold it on this push into the sevens. Made like, I don't know, 25, 30% on it. And then I actually shorted the fake breakout candle. We'll go over the book. Even though in a strong market, these candles have been huge short traps, which is why I took some off right away. I actually took even a little bit more off on the reclaim. I was like, this ADTX is, I mentioned in previous videos that you have to kind of know your rigged tickers. Like ADTX is, which is why I went long here. I'm like, oh, ADTX is a type of play, is a type of like tiny flow ticker to squeeze like a 100, 200% in a strong market, right? And it's also a type of ticker to fade 50, 60% from highs. So, um, even though I shorted this candle and had an amazing average and above 720, um, I was very afraid of manipulation, and that's why I actually had my stop loss not at 7.5, but I had it at 730s because I was afraid of it did this reclaim into this like high tight flag, and then I was very afraid of the market open volume for this reason. And then I actually didn't have a good read up here, but we'll go over the book. We'll see what was happening. So we'll focus on the pre-market, right? What's happening over here, right? We have our pre-market pop. In the strong market, we've seen over and over and over again is that if there's bid support on these things, they tend to make multiple legs up, and sometimes those legs up are 30, 50, 100%. You can't do a whole lot of size because they tend to be a little thin, but it's a huge reward type play. So we could go over the book. Sorry, I'm a little stuffy, but we'll go over. I have no idea. It's just my daughter when she's 2 months old. I have no idea what's happening up here. Why is my book map like that? Okay, I seem to have fixed it. So yeah, here's that quick pre-market pop, right? And I'm just watching it the whole time. Like this price action when it first popped, again, there's an order at 7, but the book is it's empty to the upside, empty to the downside. It's not immediately obvious what's going to happen. I don't want to short it, but I also don't want to go long because there just isn't a clear picture. So the way these ones work is they consolidate. This is a consolidation. You can see the timestamps, 834, and then really, I like to zoom in. there's some orders on the book, but a lot of these orders, and it's the same thing to the downside. A lot of these orders are only like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 shares. But what I liked is right here, I saw two layers of bids. This first bid at 5.6 got taken out, and then 5.5 got bigger, so we had this 5.5 stack. And I was like, you know what? ADTX is really one of those rate takers that is more than capable of squeezing through a relatively empty book to the upside. Let me long risking, because I saw 5.5 barely get tested here. I was like, let me long in the 5.6s here, right? Let me go long here, especially after they took this ask out, so we have a relatively empty book. And I know, and of course, I know in a strong market, like, yeah, there's some orders here, but you know, 30,000 shares per minute can quickly become 100,000 or 200,000 shares per minute, right? So, um, if the volume on these pre-market pops, I'll show you here, we have lower volume. This is how higher volume comes into the stock, right? So you start getting 2, 3x the volume of what was being traded on the pop. So in strong markets, there's always potential for more liquidity to come in. And I did like the 5.5 guy holding itself there, so I long this. And you love to see this, by the way. So not only is there a bid down here, but when these asks start getting taken out, the ask gets replaced by bids. This is very strong. This is a this is a really good thing. This is a really, really good thing to happen. As you see, we see follow-up bids, follow-up bids, follow-up bids, follow-up bids. And as long as those bids are holding, there's really no big reason to sell. Follow-up bids, follow-up bids. And I'm just like, all right, I'm long down here in the 560s, and now it's reaching 7, and I just see constant bid support on this thing. Now, the reason I sold my long was, A, I wanted to get prepared for the short, and it was on this push. If we go back to this. On this push here, right? This looked like it was going to break 7.5, but if we look at the book, I saw that, hey, there's no bid support on this push right here, right? And you really want to start protecting your profits, or even just getting out of the position when, yeah, the stock looks like it's going to push, but now, unlike this push, where there's bids, 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 this push has no bids. So that's why, I was getting very aggressive in the 7s here with the selling, and I sold the whole thing just because I was like, you know what? You might as well take the 30% while you can, and went straight up only. There's no bid support, so now it's kind of like tricky to know what is going to happen. So the reason I shorted this candle, so this candle is what ended up being a short trap. So, and again, in strong markets, you don't know this is going to be a short trap, right? This looks like a great pattern, which is why I shorted it in the 720s, right? And if we look at the book, it's holding VWAP support. So longs love that stocks are holding VWAP support. We got this big aggressive it touched a VWAP and then it initiated straight to high NA. A lot of longs will chase that move. They'll chase the initiation. And if we look at the book, what I really like, so there was multiple bids here, and I thought this was really, really strong. I'm like, oh, there's like bidder, bidder, bidder. But then right before the initiation, they sold into this guy, which is really interesting because now that means that guy's not there anymore, right? So I was like, and I always think to myself, as a stock gets more extended, I like that there was less bids than there were, before. But also, are there any bids following it up, right? So just because there's bids that support doesn't mean there's going to be bids when it starts, getting market ordered, right? Or limit ordered above the ask or whatever in pre-market. And I knew I could see these guys like, right before they initiated it, you could see them come in with offers. You could see them start to stack new offers before the initiation. So I knew in the 720s and 730s that there were some offers there. So I was like, all right. And I was just watching its initiation. I saw the no bid support. I saw it hit these guys, right? And I actually saw it stall, and I actually started shorting here, and I was ultimately risking, well, 7.5, but I was also, I was like, I knew there were orders in the 730s. I was like, let me see what happens on these orders. And actually, funny enough, they gave one more midi push, and down here they started pulling the bids, right? So there's a like a 10K bid here. They pulled the bid. It's so funny. You see this so much on at the top of the long trap. You'll see bids far below getting pulled, and especially when there's no bid follow up like this, it can be very bearish. But again, I knew it was a strong market, and I knew these quick pullbacks create all this empty space. You can see how much empty space there is on the book here. So I was really afraid of this. I was like, ADTX is, in strong markets, um, there just tend to be more legs up. A lot of pre-market shorts tend to not work. A lot of market open shorts tend to not work. Let me just protect my profits a little bit. I had a great average. And I was up like 15, 6. When I'm up like 15, 20% in a strong market, I just kind of learn to protect myself. Because I'll have like the best entries on perfect patterns, but it's just too early and the market's too strong. So you get 15, 20% pullbacks and then they start to go back up. So I've been liking taking some profit in that area, that like 15, 20% area. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, it high tight flagged right before market open, and I was like, and I knew the book was pretty empty to the upside. I'm like, there's really not a lot of orders. From, market open was at 6.9. There's like, I saw these guys at 720. I'm like, all right, let me put my stop loss up here in case the market open volume just squeezes me. And that's what I literally got out. I actually got out on this first push, and then it knifed a little bit, and then they squeezed it for real. But at that point, I was already out. And then I actually missed. If you guys want to go over what happened up here, I didn't have the read because the book was very thin up here, and I was a little afraid of getting a bad average and having a lot of slippage. So this is the up halt. This is high day. Oh, sorry. This is high day right here at 9.5. You see there's not a lot of bids on this thing, right? But then again, to the upside, it's just 9.5 and 10, and that's about it. So this book is really, really, really empty. There's a lot of volatility because of how little orders are on the book. And of course, I love to see lower highs get broken, right? So I really didn't have the read here where they broke through 9, they broke through 9 again, and then they pulled it with no bids down. Which would have been, this candle, right? Where they pulled it with the no bids. I just didn't have the read, and then also here, I was watching this in real time. I didn't have the read because I wanted this to go higher on the book. I didn't want this second push, which was here, to get closer to like this 9 guy. I saw it push, and I saw the lack of bids. Again, it's the same bearish. Lack of bids is definitely a bearish factor you want to see on the book, but like I saw this one guy at 875 and at 9. I'm like, it would be cool to get closer to 9 again, and I just didn't have the read, and it cracked. And then what was interesting on the backside was not just this push. One actually clean entry that I wasn't at my desk for was not the 7 clear out, but this push. This push was this push was a lot cleaner on the book. This actually could have been a nice, I could have shorted 6.8s and covered in the 5.7s and made like $1.10 on this thing. But if we go to the book on this, this push, you can see them put the bids, they're throwing up bids, but they're pulling them. Throwing up bids, pulling them. So like, this is getting propped because they want to clear out $7, but they're not actually going to hold those bids, right? But then again, I'm looking at this book, I'm seeing, okay, this is pretty empty to the upside. This is pretty empty to the downside. I don't want to just blindly short 7 in case it actually pushes like 730s, 750s, right? But this was a lot cleaner. This is that second push. So now we have multiple layers of ass. We get another push with no bids, right? And we get something I love to see. You'll see this. You'll see a big push. They'll stack an ask. They'll take that ask out and then they pull it, right? So this is now like right here. You have 1, 2, 3 layers of ask. The first one gets eaten on the big volume. The green buying volume dries up. There's no bid support, and they pull it, and that ends up being the top of the bounce before the crack. So that's here. So you're gonna short it here on this candle or this candle, right? And then got it to here, right? Nice little. This was a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low crack. Take, if you're just shorting a backside play like this, um, the risk is very tight. Probably risking like 30 cents. You can make at least $1, $1.20. So yeah, that's that play. And then for anyone who stayed, CCCC, this was a good news biotech. This is the definition of a good news. I told my Discord I was not interested in shorting this. I took one trade. I actually took high 2.2s to 2. I literally scalped 20 cents, but besides that, I longed it in the low 1.9s. And then I should have longed it again at 2 here, but some reason I wasn't thinking it, even though I thought it was super strong. So good news, biotechs. Do not mess. This company has like a 40 million share float. Their news is they have a collaboration with Merck. Merck is one of the largest biotech companies in the world. This is a real company. Merck is definitely a real company. This news is legit. It has high IO. Like I said, high IO matters when there's meaningful news that institutions care about, right? So I was not short bias this thing at all. But this has some really interesting stuff on the book. I just don't have a lot of time to go over it. So hope that helps. And ADTX, I kind of missed the big fade, but I took what I got based on the reads I had, and I had 2 winning trades on, mostly winning trades on it. The short was kind of a small win, but the long was really really nice. So, anyways, guys, you guys have a good one. Be careful out there. Market's still pretty strong going into the end of year. And try to avoid stuff like this. Try to find out why this stuff's really strong, right? This is a classic good news catalyst biotech play. So, anyways, have a good one, guys. See you.